Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Del, and WoW's next major, huge update of the patch 11.1 is bringing with it so many new changes, from brand new seasonal content, from Delve editions, raid editions, PvP and Mythic Plus editions, a ton of different class changes and revamps, but also a better gearing system going forward. It looks like Blizzard has learned some lessons from what we've had so far in Season 1, from dungeon gearing, delve gearing, and raid gearing, and they're looking to improve those systems even further, with new additions for all three major forms of PvE and game content in particular for us to talk about from the most recent preview of the patch 11.1 of Undermine. But I'm looking to improve Crest acquisition to upgrade your gear, create some bad luck protection from raids, but also further improve the quality of gearing when it comes to all of your ults. So there's so much more to talk about once 11.1 finally hits the PTR realms, because there's likely even more stuff for us to discover as soon as this update hits the public testing grounds very soon. But for now, I want to talk about everything we know so far regarding all of the ways that gearing is looking to improve massively in Season 2 of War Within. As always, if you guys want to see more regular updates for patches like 11.1 heading to PTR very soon, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So, for many players out there, when it comes to War Within endgame content, there's three primary ways of gearing your character. There's delves, dungeons, as well as raids. At least when it comes to PvE content. PvP is within its own ecosystem, and right now we don't really have too many updates in terms of how PvP is going to be changing in Season 2, but as we get more information over on PTR, we'll definitely make sure to update you guys on that alone as well. But as for the PvE content, I want to first start off with delves and how those are changing. For delves, we're getting two new delves like Excavation Site 9, which is going to have a lot of this voidy influence and Titan-esque stuff, and be the delve that kind of ties together this new Goblin type of update together with the overarching storyline of the World Soul Saga, but also a delve called Side Street Sluice, which is more of a Goblin-esque sewer type of a delve. With the delve content moving into Season 2, we also get new gear from that season, so the item levels of those pieces are going to be going up, which means that delves will continue to be an excellent source of champ track gear that could be easily farmed out, with hero track items that can be slotted into your great vault. So that type of gearing system that we have right now with delves, which is so efficient when it comes to getting a brand new character up and running, is staying heading into Season 2. However, delves will now be one of the major sources of being able to earn gilded crests for once, which are one of the crests necessary to upgrade all of your gear. The entirety of the gear upgrade system with its Valor-stones and crests is here to stay, but they're finally adding a new way for you to be able to get gilded crests farmed from delves, specifically from tier 11 difficulty delves. Which means that in Season 2, you'll finally be able to upgrade all of those hero track items you get from delves with gilded crests to make sure those pieces go to the highest item levels available. But that does mean you'll have to tackle on some of the higher difficulty tiers of delves, with tier 11 being the highest difficulty, the hardest difficulty that presents more challenges than a tier 8 does. This does mean that you'll need to do some fairly difficult content as far as delves are concerned in order to get some of the best crests in order to upgrade your gear to the highest item levels available, but it seems like a fairer trade-off. Bran is getting some new upgrades as he continues to be our follower heading into delves in Season 2, with Bran getting the role of a tank this time around, so she'll be able to hold the aggro away from you a little bit easier, especially if you're just looking to play a healer through delves. But also he's getting many new curio upgrades from new goblin curios that should be very effective, but also some of the older curios, as far as we know, should be getting an upgrade this time around to be more effective and to be overall better. With more players diving into tier 11 delves to get all of their crests, it does mean that hopefully we'll see even more delve tuning going forward, as there's still plenty of delves with plenty of enemies that have, let's say, a lot of casts for you to interrupt, which is a bummer if you're a Shadow Priest or a Boom Kid, for example, with a very limited use on your interrupt ability. And it does mean the delves are gonna have to be adjusted so more players can finally get into tier 11 delves, which is doable, though I say that as somebody who has 636, 637, if not 638 item level rogue with raid gear and mythic plus gear, so my character is kitted to the teeth, so doing a tier 11 isn't that difficult. But if you were to take a player that's solely gears through delves specifically, and if you gave that player the chance to run through delves and potentially try to complete a tier 11 just through hero track and champion track gear, would they be able to do so? And that will require some fine tuning. But it's good to see that delves are getting this upgrade in gearing opportunity where players may actually be able to complete all the hero track gear and possibly even just stick with delves, not having to enter dungeons or raids as the form of endgame progression. This does, however, make me wonder if this will affect Mem Plus representation for Season 2. Because right now players are going into delves to get their best gear, but then eventually they have to start doing raids or more accessible M+ content in order to get a lot of the gilded crests from +8 dungeons. And I wonder if now, if you give delves an opportunity and delve players an opportunity to get gilded crests, I wonder if it will affect the numbers of players we have within the representation of M+ content, because now you'll have a solid bit of players that just want to do solo gameplay, don't want to really do group stuff, and now they don't really have to. They can just stick with delves and get all of the gearing done that way. But it's good to see that delves are at least improving as a standalone system, and that's essentially what I think they need to be, is its own standalone system that if players don't really want to do group content and just want to gear through delves, they should be able to do so fairly reasonably. Speaking about dungeons, Mythic Plus dungeons are also going through a number of changes in Season 2, but one of the things that we'll be doing is utilizing this new system of how we get more crests, Valor Stones, and even gold from 1107, and that upgrade system continues into Season 2. So it should be fairly efficient for you to get all of your crests, all of your Valor Stones, and even gold as you tackle more challenging Mythic Plus dungeons, which pushes more players upwards a little bit and potentially puts them in a competitive situation where they're looking for more higher difficulty keys and really push the M+ rating. So the better rewards of the current system we have right now are continuing into Season 2, which is really good to see and should make gearing your character and getting all your gildeds and weeklies out of the way a lot easier and more efficient. But also, Season 2 has a handful of new achievements that prevents you from being able to lose keystone levels even if you failed a key. With what seems like, and this is still a work in progress, nothing that we really could test so far, numbers may change in the future, but it seems that if you hit 2850 M+ score in Season 2, you'll be able to get a brand new achievement that prevents your Mythic Plus keys to be able to be downgraded below a +12 difficulty. So it seems to be some sort of an achievement for players that are pushing higher end content to no longer have to deal with lower end keys or potentially even seeing their keystones deplete, which will be great to get this achievement on your main, and then when you go gearing your ults, you don't have to worry about failing a keystone because your key at least doesn't deplete. You basically have this pug LFG protection, so if, let's say, something does go horribly wrong in the key or you just for some reason cannot get the timer, you don't have to worry. That 10 is still as a 10 for that weekly progression. However, this is still a work in progress and we don't necessarily know exactly what Mythic Plus score you have to achieve on your main in order to be able to get this. Right now, the standalone number seems to be 2850 in terms of, like, you know, you're getting into the push key range, trying to get to that first 3k on your character. That could help out in that regard specifically, but I wonder if they could lower that down to make it so that everybody has access to this type of a quality of life improvement, because it will make alt gearing and LFG for Mythic Plus so much better. However, raids are also getting a bunch of new changes for Season 2 as well, with dinars making a return. If you never played during this last season of Shadowlands or last season of Dragonflight, dinars was kind of like a currency that was introduced as an end of the season currency that allowed you to buy raid gear and served more as a bad luck protection component. And it seems like this kind of a currency is making a return for a Season 2, which is super exciting. Previously, you would get dinars on a weekly basis, but it seems like you're going to have a very specific way of being able to get dinars for Season 2, or rather in the second raid of this expansion, specifically from a brand new renown track that will be available side by side with the raiding tier. The new renown track is called Galagio's Loyalty Rewards, and it seems that it will have a variety of different bonuses as you go up this renown track. As of right now, we don't really know exactly how you earn the renown for this, and it might just be like a weekly bonus that you just get once a new week rolls around and just automatically goes up a single track, but it gives you at least an idea of what type of bonuses you may be able to get from stacking damage and healing buffs at renown 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, and 19, very similar to the current raid buffs that we have for Nuremberg Palace every other week, which is primarily there to help guilds that haven't killed the final boss just yet, just give them a little bit of a leg up to finally get that cutting edge or finally get AOTC if they've been struggling with it, to complete their season. But also there's other bonuses like a chance to get free augment ruins, which I think is a huge bonus, as right now there's only a limited number of ways for you to be able to get augment ruins, and they're actually fairly usable and useful when it comes to that rating progression. You also get access to raid skips to be able to get raid skips through Renown Track instead of having to complete a weekly quest. There's also a raid portal, which is usually something that is being added towards the end of an expansion as like a way for you to be able to earn a portal at the end of the season to when you replay dungeons and raids. But a raid portal could potentially be huge and actually super fun to get. Then there's also the dinars currency, which has its own name for season 2, but it's essentially the same dinars as Renown 17 and Renown 19 reward, which potentially means you might be able to buy 2 items from the raid tier. And the way that those items worked back in those previous expansions, where we did have a dinars raid bad luck protection system, is you'll be able to buy any item on any of the raid bosses with the dinar token, and these items were upgradable. They started out at a fairly low item level, but could be upgraded all the way to the highest item levels of mythic quality or mythic equivalent quality, but you can get those items to the highest possible item level, which in a lot of cases created bad luck protection for classes that needed a best in slot weapon, and they could get it guaranteed from those dinar tokens. Or if you needed a certain trinket to be competitive, or maybe a certain item with an extra bonus like a cantrip of such. Any item you needed in order to make a character work and function, you could get as a bad luck protection, and it looks like you get at least 2 of these dinars for season 2, which is fairly huge. But then there's apparently a lot more utility from this Renown track, like profession tables, vendors, and crafting tables on the top floor of the hotel, which I imagine is inside of the raid. You also will be able to earn access to a transmog station and a gear upgrade station within the raid itself, cartel jumper cables, which suggest potentially some kind of a raid-wide protection, movement speed increases out of combat within the raid of up to 30%, and apparently even an access to an auction house inside of the raid so you can easily stock up on all of your consumables, which seems like a lot of huge quality of life increases the longer that you're raiding throughout that raid to make that raiding experience and being able to commit more time into the boss to finally get that AOTC or finally get that cutting edge achievement and slay the final boss to farm up the newest mount that's going to be made available with season 2, which looks absolutely impressive. Besides this, majority of the endgame progression, whether it is dungeons, raids, or PvP, also gives you a chance to earn bonus catalyst charges during season 2. The catalyst allows you to turn your gear into a tier set gear equivalent, converting the item with different stats, but also for helms, shoulders, chest pieces, legs, and gloves, gives them that tier set bonus. And the more catalyst charges you can get, the more base items from raids or delves or dungeons that don't have bonuses can be converted into tier set equivalents, so you can get your 2 set and your 4 set bonus a little bit quicker. A great system that's been added. I believe it was with the end of Shadowlands that everybody has loved so far, and they're apparently trying to bolster it a little bit more. Heading into season 2, completing your KSM achievement, or earning 1600 within PvP, or claiming that AOTC will also add you a bonus catalyst charge on your catalyst immediately. This is on top of the regular catalyst charges that will continue to earn starting with week 1 of the newest season, which is massive. And the more charges you can get on your catalyst, this means the faster you can get your tier set bonuses, with the catalyst essentially providing you some bad luck protection, with you potentially starting off with 2 charges of the catalyst day 1 or potentially week 1 of the new season, which seems really exciting. That means you only gotta get 2 pieces of tier set from the raid and then 2 other items that can be converted into tier set, and you could potentially be walking out into the first week with 4 set instantly, which gives you a massive power spike to start off the newest season, which could be potentially really exciting to see. And likely there's going to be even more updates for gearing and even more alt-friendly improvements arriving with the season 2, though as of right now 8.1 is not on the PTR just yet for testing, but it will be sometime soon. And as soon as we know more, we'll definitely make an updated video on all of the other bonuses for gearing and alt catch-up that are likely present within the season 2 content of the War Within. But as always though, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very much appreciate it. Join our Discord community for regular patch 11.1 updates. As soon as they hit PTR, we'll start posting over there immediately. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in our next one.